Planet Dolan.
They say two wrongs don't make a right, but that doesn't stop some people from exacting some pretty brutal retribution on those who have wronged them. Is vengeance ever justified? How far can a person go to get justice? Here are some extreme ways people got their revenge. I'm Hellbent, and today I'll be your narrator. Number 15. If you need something done, why not get a load of prisoners to do it for you? Inmates do provide a cheap source of labor after all, so the Vermont State Police thought they'd take advantage and get the prisoners to create and print the decals for the side of their squad cars. But in a clever act of defiance, one cunning convict snuck the image of a pig onto the logo as payback for his capture. Number 14. In the 19th century, a shoemaker named Pierre Picard lived in Amiens, France. Engaged to marry a wealthy lady, Picard was accused of being a spy by 3 jealous friends, and he was imprisoned for 7 years in a fortress in Italy. When Picard finally got out, he adopted a new name, rose up through the Parisian society, and hunted down those who'd betrayed him, killing them and destroying their families' lives. His story was the inspiration for the famous novel The Count of Monte Cristo. Number 13. Vladimir Markov was a Russian beekeeper who engaged in tiger poaching for the high prices they would fetch on the black market. But one day, he picked the wrong tiger to mess with, wounding it with an unlicensed rifle and stealing its prey. The tiger sought out Markov's cabin, destroyed everything in it, and waited for over a day for Markov to come back. When the poacher returned, the furious feline tore him limb from limb. Number 12. Marie-Lupe Coulee, an administrative assistant working in Florida, saw an ad placed in the local paper by her boss, offering a position remarkably similar to hers. So Marie, who worked at an architecture firm, decided to take revenge before she was fired. She deleted $2.5 million worth of blueprints and designs, erased from the computer servers. It turned out that the job ad wasn't for her position, so she was never supposed to lose her job. But she blew it anyway. Number 11. In 1978, Star Wars director George Lucas moved to Marin County, California, where he built a property named Skywalker Ranch. He had intended to add his own movie studio to the land, but the wealthy local residents fiercely opposed his plans, worried that their idyllic neighborhood might be spoiled. So in 2015, he gave up and instead funded the construction of affordable housing for low-income families. Because what do rich people really hate? Having poor neighbors. Number 10. For over a decade, thug murderer and rapist Akku Yadav terrorized the local community in the city of Nagpur, India. Yadav had been bribing the local police to look the other way, but by 2004, the women of the poor neighborhood had had enough. His house was burned down and he fled to police custody. At the hearing in the courtroom of Nagpur, Yadav was attacked by 200 women who stabbed, beat, and stoned him to death, as well as throwing chili powder and cutting off his offending organ. Number 9. 2,000 years ago, Britain was divided into tribal areas that the Romans were attempting to maintain control over. When the king of the Iceni tribe died, the Romans made a show of force, raping his 2 daughters and publicly whipping his wife, Queen Boadicea. Rome probably realized they messed up big time when Boadicea led an army of vengeance, killing 80,000 Romans, destroying the city of Colchester, and nearly burning London to the ground. Number 8. When student and entrepreneur Mark Bao had his laptop stolen, he remembered that he had installed software to access a laptop even while it was missing. While trying to recover his own files, Mark found a video of the thief dancing awkwardly, so he uploaded it to YouTube, where it now has over 2 million views. The thief turned himself into the police and begged Mark to take the video down. The only thing worse in prison is being shamed on the internet. Number 7. In 1910, Dr. Hawali Crippen was hanged in London for the murder of his wife, a music hall performer named Cora. He was arrested on a boat to America with his mistress after police found a mutilated body beneath his basement. Crippen professed his innocence, saying Cora wasn't dead but that she had herself run away to America. Modern DNA evidence suggests the body was male, meaning that Mrs. Crippen pulled off the greatest piece of revenge, framing on her cheating husband. Number 6. In the early 13th century, the great unifying Mongol leader Genghis Khan began conquests westward across Asia. When he reached the Khwarezmian Empire, he sent diplomatic missionaries to begin peaceful trade talks with the Shah of Khwarezm. The Shah killed all 500 of his men as well as the second envoy. 2 strikes and you're out, said Genghis, who then invaded the land, destroyed the cities, and killed and enslaved the people and poured molten silver into the eyes of the leaders. Number 5. Alan Markovitz was a wealthy strip club owner in Detroit who split from his wife Lee after she cheated on him with another guy. Lee moved into a large house with her new man, but soon enough her ex-husband Markovitz bought the house next door just for fun so he could then spend another $7,000 on a 3.5-meter bronze statue of a middle finger facing his ex-wife's house. Classy move from a classy guy. Number 4. When Frank Eaton was 8, his father was shot in cold blood by 6 Confederate soldiers after the American Civil War had finished. His father's friend told him he had a duty to avenge his father's death, so young Frank spent his childhood getting handy with a 6-shooter, later joining the cavalry and earning the nickname Pistol Pete. After 23 years, Eaton got his vengeance, gunning down 5 men and attending the funeral to the 6th to make sure he was dead. Number 3. Queen Olga of Kiev became ruler after her husband was murdered for trying to collect taxes from the Drevelian tribe. The leader of the Drevelians then proposed marriage to Queen Olga, and she accepted. When the tribal leaders arrived in Kiev, they had a relaxing soak in the bathhouse, which Olga then locked and set on fire. With the leaders out of the way, she slaughtered the Drevelian soldiers and let loose a flaming flock of birds to burn down their city. Number 2. At only 26 years old, ex-professional wrestler Bufford Pusser was one of the youngest police sheriffs to ever serve in Tennessee. During his efforts to take down the infamous State Line Mob and the Dixie Mafia, he was shot, stabbed, and beaten numerous times. But it was when his wife was killed that Pusser went all out, extracting brutal revenge on the perpetrators and even hiring a hitman to finish the job. Number 1. During the 100 Years' War, wealthy landowner Oliver de Clisson was beheaded by French King Philip VI for supposed collusion with the English. His wife Janaine sold all the land to raise money for an army of men and a fleet of 3 warships, which she painted black and named the flagship My Revenge. She spent over a decade as a ferocious pirate, attacking French vessels in the Channel and slaughtering their crews. This video was made possible by our fans over on Patreon. Thanks for your support, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.